Wherever you are and however you may be listening, thank you and welcome. This is the EDH Outlaws podcast. I'm Ricky, so sit back and throw us on while you sort some cards or play some games. We're just here to provide an audio conversation about our favorite format, Commander. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We may not get to everything, but we want to go over some spicy spoilers and some market info if we have the time. Tonight, we have Richard.
Hello, how's it going?
We have Kayla.
Hi, everybody.
And save the best for last, Blake.
Yay! What's up, guys?
So let's start with the elephant in the room. Jeweled Lotus or New Lotus or whatever nickname it's going to get. What do you guys think?
Definitely Black Lotus Light, diet version of it. But it's still a very powerful card.
I agree. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great game changer for a lot of people in the format.
I think it's definitely a piece that the game has needed to really bring some of the bigger drop, the higher cost commanders as far as mana into a more playable form.
It's just going to make them so much easier to play in competitive because you don't have to worry so much about the mana to get them out.
You're
You don't
literally
have to-
you're turn wanting anything. Like you can basically turn one your commander with this now. I mean, you could do it before, but this just adds an extra outlet to that.
It's amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that it's ours.
Exactly. It's actually legal in EDH for now until someone gets all up in arms about it.
Well, it's the only format it would support is EDH.
Yeah, like it's unplayable in every other format, and it's not going to be legal in like standard or modern. So that doesn't matter. You don't have commanders in legacy or vintage. So let us have it. We're the driving
It's a
force here.
flexible tool. I mean, again, it's only 1 out of 99, and it's a one-time use for the most part. I mean, there's ways of getting out of the graveyard and whatnot, but it's not so broken, I don't think. But it puts a lot of gas in a lot of casual decks, honestly.
I don't think
Well,
it's any more broken than Mana Crypt.
there's some
I
people
like
that'll.
broken
There's a lot of
Crypt.
people that'll tell you Mana Crypt is super broken too. That's the funny part.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, this is a one-time user where Mana Crypt is an infinite time user. All it does is deal damage to you. So, and that's also a very expensive card.
This is very true. I it makes me happy because again, it's ours. It's only for our format and Commander, and we've only recently, I feel, have we gotten the respect that we deserve as a format in the game.
I think Wizards is finally understanding that Commander is a driving force, and it has a lot more per capita than they actually think it is.
The other good part is like in your opening hand, it's super powerful, but mid game or more, it's kind of more of
Tutoring
a
for
dead
it?
card. Well, just it's mid to late game. It's kind of a dead card. I mean, chances are your commander's already out, so it's not as powerful at that point. I think everybody's just too hyped up right now on what you can do turn one if you're lucky enough to have it in your opening hand. But
Exactly. I mean, you're playing an Omnath deck mid-game. You're going to have all the possible mana you want. A Jeweled Lotus is going to be pointless.
That is true.
yeah, but I'm sorry, I don't remember who said it, but your point, whoever brought up the point about the higher cost commanders becoming more viable. I didn't even think about. I love the Locust God, but that 6-drop casting cost is just ridiculous. Very difficult to hit in a timely manner. Usually, Usually the table's killed me by turn 6.
Hit it turn 2, turn 3. If you hit turn 1, correct mana plus Soul Ring, then turn 2 you top deck this, have the other correct mana, you definitely have Locust God out. It's definitely a good early game fixer if you feel like you're gonna get screwed, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this thing.
there's a few commanders that I've looked at that I've wanted to build, and I look at the casting costs. I'm like, ugh. I know how you guys are pretty much my meta, so that I know how quickly the games go. So there's been times where I'm like, well, this just isn't worth me trying to even bother because I'm not going to see it.
Absolutely.
I'm nodding my head in agreement with you right now.
Same. I was as well.
8-drop commander, like our games are usually over by then, or we're completely locked down and there's no way I'm casting it.
Yeah, so if you can actually get that out effectively on turn 4, you can now play a higher CMC commander and still feel like you can be a part of a high-powered, borderline competitive game. It definitely adds a little bit more spice to it. Opens a lot of doors.
But you guys also you can't, I don't know, I think it's actually, we may be giving it too much credit. Because again, it is 1 in the 99.
Yeah, no, we're all speculating on God hand type scenarios, but the upside is yeah, but yeah, exactly. And the upside of this one is that in a lot of scenarios it can lower the amount of cards needed for your God hand. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
Price tag on it that's out there right now really sucks. I don't even want to try to make a hot take on what it's going to settle at after opening, but God, I hope it goes down. Oh, jeez, Louise, $130.
Sitting pretty at $130 for just the regular near mint, and it's pushing almost $400 market price for the foiled version. And we have to remember that there is an extended art version for this card.
I was waiting to tell you to look that price up. I want to say it's at $1,000.
It is the foil full art or foil extended art for this card is $1,000 at the moment.
You scroll down. If you scroll down, is anybody selling a foil?
2 people are selling a foil. Oh, shipping included. Thank goodness.
What's the
How
price
much
on
you
it?
better personally drive it to my house.
$999.90.
$1,000. Let's give a shout out to the seller. Who's the seller on it?
The shout out to the seller is Limitless Games. He has a 99.9% approval rating at 500 or 50,000 sales. Doing great work out here. Selling
What's the other one?
massively priced. Ooh, Dice Guys, 99.6%. Doing well out here. This card is an astronomical amount of money to pay for.
So I'd like to give a shout out to those 2 stores for totally helping push all the hype around people that are upset about the value of this card.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm all for profit and all that, but the stores that like to jack the price up before they even have their hands on a copy, hey, let's just give you a shout out real quick. So Richard said he had a pretty cool commander idea he wanted to talk about. Does anybody else want to add anything else on the Jeweled Lotus before we move over to that guy?
I'm excited to see people get salty with it. That's
You
my
know,
2 cents.
I'm excited to see one of the high school kids pull that card out of a pack.
That's going to be incredible.
I remember when Lord Windgrace pulled an invention out of a pack.
Mm-hmm.
The thing only ended up being worth $12, but
I remember that.
My ears rang for like 2 days. I was sitting right by him when he pulled it. So honestly, I want somebody other than me to pull this in the store. And yeah, I'm excited. I think the price tag on it sucks, but you know what? Things are always going to get more expensive, whether it's gas, whether it's milk, cigarettes, or magic cards. That's just the way the world works, right? So, Richard, what was the one you wanted to talk about?
Well, the rare one I wanted to bring up on a more competitive level is Archelos Lagoon Mystic.
What color is that?
Bug.
I wasn't prepared for this one.
Blue, right there, the turtle. The
This one,
blue, black, and. So, Archelos Lagoon Mystic. One, a black, a green, and a blue. Legendary creature, turtle shaman.
I'm sorry. That
No.
always makes me laugh.
Dude, this
What?
guy looks fucking dope.
He
I
is.
just sorry, Turtle Shaman gets me.
Oh, yeah, the turtle shaman? Hey, he's Steve's older brother.
Straight out of Never-Ending Story. Come on now.
All right, so real quick before we get into this, he's Archie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Archie. That's great.
I like
That's
it.
a great form. So we have Archelos Lagoon Mystic, one, a black, green, and blue, a legendary creature, turtle shaman. As long as Archelos Lagoon Mystic is tapped, other permanents enter the battlefield tapped. As long as Archelos is untapped, other permanents enter the battlefield untapped. Now, he's like a mix of a couple of different cards. I mean, a root maze, but better. And then he's also an amulet of vigor. So, and he breaks the parity because you can control and make sure he's tapped at your end step. So everyone else's permanents come in untapped. And then he untaps and you can bring everything you need, including things that come in tapped, such as the Vinol's disc.
Ooh, you went there
Chocolate.
first. I like it.
Such a stacks player. Oof.
I was waiting for you to say like Shockland.
Yeah, a Shockland, but they come in untapped and you don't have to pay the life.
Nuts.
So it really gives you an advantage. And he doesn't really, I don't see, besides a stack strategy, does he really support a strategy? But with him being bugged on a competitive level, if you don't want a commander that's necessary to win, he is a perfect fit. He gives you a break and parity, gives you an advantage over your opponents, and then you can still have your strategy, your combo, your win condition, all that in the deck, easy to get to, and he can help just control the situation to get you there quicker.
So, you brought something up real quick. I wanna shift the conversation and pause for just a second. Let's put a pin in it. Uh, breaking parity. Since this is our first episode, let's actually talk about that for just a second so we can make sure that people are on board with what we're saying. Um, I'll let you want to take this, Richard?
Oh no, go ahead.
So breaking parity, just a simple breakdown is just when you do something to affect the board, you're not affected by that as much as everybody else is. Example being the tapping and untapping of this. You untap in your upkeep. So he's untapped. Anything you do comes in. Any permanent enters the battlefield untapped at that point. Notice it doesn't say your battlefield. This is a group hug thing. So breaking parity means on my turn, everything comes in untapped, and I do everything I can to tap him before I pass the turn so that it screws you guys over, not me. Does that kind of sum it up for everybody?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
Sorry to
exactly.
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt you,
Not a
Richard.
problem. A
right.
hindrance that you can work through better. This guy actually really excites me. Not just because I'm a big fan of bug. I think those are the most advantage, gives you the most advantage in those colors when you're playing on a competitive level.
Yeah, there's this comment that's at the top. Freed from the Real is the perfect marriage with this card. You mean you're paying 1 blue and you can either tap it or untap it. So you get your stuff done on your turn, tap it down, off you go. This is definitely a
So
very
that would work.
yeah, that's a
Cryptolith as well.
yep. I really like
I
this
mean, there's
commander
multiple
as much
ways.
as I don't enjoy stacks.
So
And
I
just
gotta
that,
point out. I gotta point out the flavor text real quick. Okay, so the flavor text on this card is great. It is life is not a race.
Just like a turtle shaman would.
This card, like childhood, I love it. I love everything about it except for one thing.
I don't know.
And
This guy reminds me very much of the Kung Fu Panda turtle.
Yep.
oh my god.
Yep. Nail on head. That was what I was thinking as well.
So there's one thing I want to put in here that I don't like about this card, and that is I am a huge homer that if it has green, I must put Seedborn Muse in it. And it doesn't work in this deck.
Oh.
Oh, you gotta stray away from that.
I'm gonna break the parity to give it right back. Other than that, freaking love this thing.
I mean,
So what
he's
was
like so much better than Umaze. And I also forgot to mention that he's a 2/4. He has a pretty big butt. So in desperate need, you can use him in combat.
You mean a pretty
he-
big shell?
Yeah, pretty big shell.
Be
There's some
respectful,
flavor.
Richard.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm like Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like big butts.
if you look at the comment on the screen, it says butts.
I don't know. I'm really excited, and he's a great commander. Comes out quick. Really supports just any strategy, even if you're going some crazy combo speed strategy.
Mhm.
He
So I'm
will
just
help slow down your opponents while speeding you up.
So for those of you watching, if you're or listening, we're using Mythic Spoiler to kind of show the images, and I'm scrolling through some of the comments right now, and I got a couple good ones. We got a freed from the real time. Oh, I'm gonna build this guy. Amulet of Vigor on a stick. Somebody jumps in and it's not actually Amulet of Vigor, and this is why. Uh, Life is not a race, but boy, those bounce lines are fast. And the best. Master Uguay wielding an Amulet of Vigor. I mean, look at the image. It's not the amulet, but come on, hold on, who's this guy? I don't know who you are. Jacobo starts with a Q. Quaglinary? No,
The biggest name out of all of them.
yeah. I'm thinking Quagmire. Giggity goo. So, what was the other card you wanted to look at, Richard?
Rebic, Architect of Ascension. It is an uncommon, actually.
Rebic.
Rebic.
I have named him Frog.
Got it.
I don't know. I think it's a she. I can't tell.
It's a lady.
Lady
It
Frog.
even says she sees beyond technology.
Rebic.
Oh, yes.
Can't frogs change their
Nope, wrong
gender?
one.
Yeah, actually, they can.
That is information that
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was biology.
Yes, frogs can change gender. That is a true fact that we're going to add to this podcast.
I mean, she's legitimately not a frog. Her name sounds like frog.
We're
Rebic.
borderline a scientific podcast at this point.
That-
It looks
Rebic.
like Rubik's
And they-
Cube to me.
People very well could call her Rebecca, but I will forevermore call her Rebecca.
I think it's
And I will say it like that every time.
Rebek. I like it. No,
Oh.
that's way better.
Anytime
the
someone
frog
casts it.
artificer. Ooh, the frog artificer. Yep. I'm on
Ooh, I
board
like.
now.
Hey,
Yep.
you guys know my wife. I'm very partial to blonde, so she's. I'm liking this card. What do you see in this, Richard?
Well, Rebek, Architect of Ascension. It's a 3 and a white. You get a legendary creature, human artificer. Artifacts you control have protection from each converted mana cost among artifacts you control. And it's a partner card. And I really love what they're doing with all these partners. And she's a 3/4. Now, it's clever, it's fun, it's protection for your artifacts, but could also be useful on an offensive measure when, like, say, working with artifact creatures. It could very easily, with the right setup, make your artifact creatures pretty much unblockable. And we add in like a Mycosynth Lattice strategy, making everything artifacts. So every converted mana cost you have available on your board, you have protect your artifacts, your permanents at that point have protection from. And it would be a great pairing with Silas Wren, the old partner commander, black blue. Whenever he does combat damage, Silas Wren. It's like 1, a black and a blue, so he's cheap too. And whenever he does combat damage, you can pick an artifact from your graveyard and cast it this turn. So she adds generalized protection for your artifacts. He adds recursion to your artifacts on a good solid artifact-based deck, which we all know can work out really fast and be very explosive. They help keep and protect that explosion on the board. And I really see some good fun to be had with her.
I really like how you pointed out making giving an artifact creature protection means you can block, and as long as they don't have trample, haha, that sucks. You're not doing any damage. And then the blue, black, white is Memnarch. The blue, black, and white is just a wonderful combination for artifact decks.
Well, yes, and I mean it also includes. There's another commander, mono blue. I'm spacing the name right now, but you can tap her and cast an artifact from the graveyard as well. That could be added in there. Lost Lake, the one that's like Lady of the Lake.
I'm picturing the card. That's one of the most beautiful full art foils out there.
Are you talking about Emery?
Yes.
Okay.
Emery, yes.
Oh.
Emery of the Lost. And working also with things that like liquid metal coating and Memnarch, both being able to make your creatures artifacts, making Silas Wren an artifact would be very useful, then giving him the protection that she provides.
For those of you that aren't familiar, liquid metal coating, Blake's pulling it up now, the ability to give a permanent, make it an artifact till end of turn. Same with Thran Forge is another one. I think it's a little bit higher in the casting cost, though.
Yes, Emery Lurker of the Lost, Thran Forge,
liquid metal coating.
Yes, liquid metal coating.
And then, like you said, Mycosynth Lattice.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of cards that go really well with her.
Seems like a very good commander.
Yeah, I think she's going to be really great. But I believe she's going to be strongest with a partner.
Yeah, and she definitely needs a partner that has blue in it to really get you home and get you where you need to go.
Exactly. And you can then add in cards like the Memnarch, the Emery. There's also, you could add along with Urza in the mix. Black, of course, for all the wonderful tutors Black offers. Yeah, no, I really do see a lot of fun synergies with her. And even if you're not playing on the trying to get a more competitive style going and using her as a protection piece, just doing a mono white commander with artifact creatures, each creature's different converted mana cost, then gives that creature protection of those mana costs. So if you balance it out well, you have a very simple, cheap army.
This
to
could be a
attack.
good vehicles deck.
It would be. It'd be a wonderful vehicles deck. And also having the cheap artifacts like a Soul Ring and an Arcane Signet would then take away the bulk of the targeted artifact removal.
That's a really good point. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody runs a Soul Ring. Almost everybody runs an Arcane Signet. So if you have this card in your deck, you already have 2 forms of protection.
And most targeted artifact removal is a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop.
Yep. All you need is a Commander Sphere, and you're good to go. You have 1, 2, and 3, and you're pretty well protected.
Well ramped.
And the best part, she's only like a 25-cent uncommon. Value Town.
Yup. She's
So,
legal
Kayla-
in Pauper.
So, Kayla, I heard you found a pretty cool little combo. Let's,
All right, so this is just some cards that I found that I think are going to go really well together. Nice mono red partner commanders. So starting off with, how are we pronouncing that? Rograk.
Ragrak.
And
he's a little rugrat, right?
Yeah, he's the Rugrat. He's going to
All right,
Paris.
Rugrat makes it easier. Love it. He's a 0-drop. First strike, menace, trample. 0/1 doesn't look all that scary. So we're going to partner him with Jessica, Thrice Reborn. She's a 2 and a red planeswalker. Jessica, Thrice Reborn, enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on it for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. You can pay 0 or 0 loyalty. Choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage to that player instead. -X, Jessica, Thrice Reborn deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. And this planeswalker can be a commander and partner. We are going to use those with our Jeweled Lotus.
The all beloved.
The all beloved. And God, that's pretty. I don't care if it's $1,000. I want one.
We all do.
I'm going to add the feminine voice to this podcast. It's really pretty and I like it. It's shiny. I want it.
It looks like the
Bling,
Hope
bling.
Diamond.
It's super badass and does lots of cool stuff. And it's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no bad things here.
You know, girls love them jewels.
That's right. So we got our 0-drop. Tap and sack it. Add 3 mana of any one color. We can use that to cast our Planeswalker. Get that out there. We've got our Rugrat. And then if we have a couple mana out there, in addition to our Jewel Lotus, Colossus Hammer. Pay 1. 1-drop artifact. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. The flying part doesn't really matter. It's got equip 8. It's kind of a problem. We're hoping to get this out a little earlier in the game and do stuff with it. So we're going to add on magnetic theft. Attach target equipment to target creature. Throw that thing on Colossus Hammer. Colossus Hammer is going on Rugrat. And then with our 0 loyalty, triple that damage, you're swinging 30. In like turn 2, turn 3.
That's an insta-kill.
Rah.
Yeah, 30 commander with first strike, menace, and trample.
I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the first person that looks at your commanders and goes, "That little guy."
Right. Turn
Well, I'm
5,
swinging at you
turn
first.
4.
Isn't that what you all said to my snakes?
Yeah,
I
think
thought
we
we weren't
did.
going to bring that up in public.
I've had my doubts. I've learned.
I'm kind of obsessed with this combo. I may build this deck for the store meta and not our group meta because I like what you built here. I like what you put together. This is
don't
amazing.
use it again.
Oh, I'm not going to use it against you. No, this is just. I might use this on MTGO.
It's beautiful and it's gonna piss so many people off.
Yeah,
Actually, that Rugrat's pretty amazing. For a 0 drop, yeah, it's a 0/1 to start off, but if you're basing with a beef, the first strike, the trample, the menace, those are some very powerful effects.
I mean, how many millions of ways can you beef that? I mean,
yeah, it's a 0 drop commander with partner. So no matter what, you're getting him out turn 1, and then you just add junk to him. Just whatever you want. He is literally a blank canvas, and you can paint him however you want.
Well, and I know it looks all red and everything. You can colossification him.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Bruce Tarl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Double strike.
Double strike. You figure out a way to give him +1/+1 with colossification.
Ugh.
Beautiful. And I love that. I love sitting down at a table with something that just doesn't look like much and people discounting it, going, meh, all right, let's see what you can do, and just blow away.
I feel like people aren't even going to pay attention to this card, and then all of a sudden it's going to show up at their table, and it's going to rock their world.
It's just so easy to abuse.
Yeah, it's so easy to beef a creature. And if you got that kind of just solid foundation to build with, Voltroning, with equipment, you got so many enchantments, as we all know, with like the Krinko decks that in mono red alone that just give them quick little beefs. They're kind of just like cheap as can be. As far as mana cost, 1, 2, sometimes 3 mana. And you just add them onto them. And like you said, it's always a turn 1 commander. Always turn 1, you're going to have them on the battlefield. So, I mean, there's just so many ways. And
imagine adding extra turns to this. Or extra combats, not extra turns, sorry.
Yeah, a slight little sidebar on the Jessica. How sick is that 0? I mean, you're going to have to protect the crap out of her because she's not going to start out very big ever. You know, the most she's going to come out is 2. But
so you could do early game and like lose your 0 drop a few times, so you can have her come out like as like a 3 loyalty.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, you're gonna have to make sure you have something in place to protect her at least 1 turn, so you can pop off with your Rugrat.
Well, you could use her 0 drop ability as soon as she enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much a fiery emancipation on a stick. Damage tripler, it does only affect 1 creature. But taking out the Rugrat, let's say you pair her ability with Balefire Dragon.
That is true. Balefire Dragon that's the one that deals
Ew.
X damage.
He
Right?
does 6 and then deals however much damage he deals to an opponent, it deals that much
Yeah.
to each creature. Well,
Yeah.
He does 18 to the opponent, and then 18 to each creature they have. It's
Mono
gonna
Red
pretty
got a
much
big
like
buff
what
here.
in their hopes.
I'm kind of thinking I need to rethink my Atraxa deck and do a different commander so I can have some of the red walkers in there.
Kayla, you're on to something with this one. You get my gold star of the episode on for this spec. This is awesome.
yeah, Blake said that this was one of the cards he wanted to talk about, and we just kind of politely said, you can add in whatever you want, but Kayla's got this one.
Yeah, you figured it. I am now even more head over heels for this Ragnarok. However you pronounce his name.
Rock.
Rock.
Rugrat.
Rugrat.
Rugrat, son of a, I think Rogoch is,
I wonder if he's related to Crick, son of Yawgmoth.
well, no, I think Rogoch is, I think it's Kobold for bastard.
I don't know
Rugrat,
Klingon.
son of a bastard. So, Blake, man, you got some big shoes to fill here, buddy. What cards did you pick out to talk about?
Man, I really do. The first one is Demonic Lore. It's a two generic and 1 black. It's an enchantment. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards. At the beginning of your end step, you lose 2 life for each card in hand. So it's a great card for swapping it with somebody, saying, I don't want this card anymore. It gave me my card draw, but it's ultimately going to affect my life. And so I want to trade it with you and have you reap the rewards of this card itself.
How are you doing that?
So I haven't figured that out yet.
Well, there was something. There was a spoiler that came out that I don't remember which one it is, but I swear there's something that gives something to other players.
Like a
'Cause
gear heart.
Yeah, when I read this one, I went, "Oh, why doesn't Zedru have black?" But then something else was. I want to say there was another spoiler that was printed that made me go, "That's why they made that card." I was thinking about Zedru with, but I don't remember what it is. I'm excited for this card because your brain works differently than mine, and I know that thing's gonna end up on my damn battlefield, and I'm gonna be like, he freaking did it, you bastard.
Yeah, so my first thought with this card is great for Crick, son of Yawgmoth, because you're always kind of operating with like 1 card to 2 cards in hand. So you can get it out on the battlefield and then work around that. You're already spending your life to do whatever you want. Once you get the card in hand to exchange it with somebody, that's where all the fun begins, because they have to figure out how to get that off of their own board. I can remove it from my own board easily with my removal spells if I need to. But I really want to just exchange it with somebody. So it works. It doesn't work great in a mono black deck. There is a card that I can exchange control of something I control for blue. So I need to add blue into it to figure that out. But overall, I'm very excited for this card.
This would be very powerful in Villas.
Yes.
The like, what is it, 8-drop?
Oh my god. You're
What
drawing.
it's like. Draw card.
You better not have a. You better not have a reliquary tower out, or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I forgot about Villas. Villas is a very good. Yeah. you're just drawing obscene amount of cards. Which, again, if you're playing mono blue and you're able to get a lab man out and you just draw yourself out, you're golden. So there's a few avenues for it. I haven't figured everything out for it yet, but I've been digging this card. I've been really enjoying this card.
Plus three cards is nothing to laugh at.
Yeah, I'll take 3 cards for 3 mana. That's easy. I'll deal with the life loss later. That doesn't bother me.
Well, there's a lot of ways to remove an enchantment.
Exactly. I will come across it when it's
I'll worry about that later.
It's dealing mana crypt sort of damage, but at the end of my turn, except at the beginning of my turn.
Well, I mean, right there, you're committing to losing 6 life minimum.
Yeah.
Well, not minimum, potentially minimum if you can't cast it.
Yeah, this is probably more of like a turn 7 card where you have enough mana to be like, I'll play this and then I'll play 2 of the cards that I draw, so I still have 4 cards in hand. So I'm just losing 8. It's still an early alpha.
Hey, the fire has been lit, and that's the important part, right?
Exactly. And
So what else?
I will transition over to my second cards, I would say, that I'm really loving out of this whole set that we're releasing are the new tango cards, which is a new term that I was introduced to tonight. And it's it takes 2 to tango, and it's if you have this card or this land comes in tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. And as a commander player, I will almost guaranteed have more than 2 opponents at the table when I'm playing Magic. And so these cards are just perfect, and they're almost shoe-ins for any EDH deck that you have out there, because you'll always have more than 2 opponents. You never won't, unless you knock somebody out or somebody just scoops turn 1. But I rarely play 1v1, so these are perfect. And so I'll probably end up getting a 4 of each because they're just that good.
They're freaking great, though. I love it. Anything that gives an option to come in untapped.
If you play Commander on a budget, which I enjoy doing, I really like having decks that are below $50. These cards are great because they're a non-hurt yourself shock land, because I mean you can't fetch for them, of course, but if you're paying a budget deck, you're not going to be fetching for lands. That's not a thing that's in your repertoire. But if you want a good dual land that doesn't do any damage to you, and you know you're going to be playing in a 4-person pod, they're a shoe-in. I mean, the most expensive one probably will be the Simic one, because that's just the most powerful color out of all 5 of these. So it may be $5. So I think it shoes perfectly into budget strategies, battle cruiser strategies, and low-level mid decks.
I love when they. I also just part of my Type A brain process is I like when they complete the cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Give
Don't
us
leave
the
us hanging
lands
with
we
half.
want.
Yeah, don't give us the enemies and the allies, please.
Yep.
Yes. And even with these mid-power lands, they also did offer the mana confluence, which would happily go in just about any competitive deck.
Yep. If you're buying boxes, like if you buy a box and you're looking for these lands and you want something, and you're like, I will get this mana confluence, that'll help push your deck to the next level.
Well, it's the buy a box promo. You gotta love that.
You
that
gotta
is
love a phenomenal one.
Well, it fits any deck, right? Like, what was the Nexus extra
Nexus
turn?
of Fate.
Nexus of Fate. Nexus of Fate was great, but it only fits blue decks. You got to have the theme. Mana Confluence. That's Commander. That's Pioneer.
All inclusive.
And Pioneer and Beyond. That's great. It needed a reprint too. It was like the day they spoiled that. I think I remember seeing it being at like $23, and I'm excited to see how far down it goes over the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So was that your cards you had that you wanted to talk about?
Those are
Blake?
the only two that I had.
So the card I picked is Numa Jiraga Chieftain. It's a 2+ a green legendary creature elf warrior, uncommon. I'm loving the uncommon legendaries that are actually good cards, and this is one of them. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay XX. When you do, distribute X 1/1 counters among any number of target elves. Notice that does not say you control. Partner, and looks like Numa is a 2/2. Um, so I'm elves were my first love in this game. It was one of the I think it was one of the first decks that I built, probably the second deck. I think I did allies first because they were cheaper. But my elf deck is the one deck that has held through all the tear apart rebuilds. Um, I run it with Azuri, and we had a pretty long debate earlier between us about which one's better at the helm of an Azuri or Numa, and the answer we came to is irrelevant. The fact is, this card is freaking bonkers in an elf deck. Now, whether you're gonna build as the general or put it in the 99, a lot of us use elves to ramp with. How many do you run? Do you run enough to justify this in the 99 of a deck just so you can, over time, have a dump for your mana? A lot of different things you can do with it. But for those of you that aren't familiar with Elf Ball, Azuri, the Renegade leader, has a an activated ability that beefs your creatures +3/+3 until end of turn with trample. It costs 2/+3 green. Now, if we do the math on this, in order to get 3 counters on your elves with Numa, you would have to pay 6, right? So that's where it's easy to go, oh, Azuri's better. He also gives trample. But all the turns that you can activate Numa before you're able to activate Azuri is where the math problem exists. How many times am I going to trigger it with for 2 or 4 when my normal Azuri deck I'm not even ready to attack yet? Not to forget, not let's not forget to mention the other cards we were talking about, like Jiraga Warcaller, that has a static ability that says each elf you control gets +1/+1 for each 1/1 counter on Jiraga Warcaller. So Jiraga Warcaller, I don't care about the multi-kicker part. It's all about his power is all about if I can get a 1/1 counter on him, he will beef all my elves, and that's bonkers in an elf ball deck. Um, and the other The other card that combos with Jiraga is Immaculate Magistrate. It's a 4-drop, 3+ a green. Uh, it's an elf shaman. You can tap her and put a 1/1 counter on target creature for each elf you control. So yeah, you can group hug and give somebody else that, like, in response to some type of combat trigger, funny haha. But when you combo that with Numa and have a Jiraga out, your elves are damn big. So Viridian Joiner taps for 1 green mana for total mana equaling to his power. Any beef we can get on Jiraga Warcaller will then increase the amount of mana that he taps for. Again, this can be done with Numa. Marwyn does the same thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could pretty seamlessly switch an elf ball deck, the leader, between Numa and Azuri.
I'll tell you, I'm definitely excited I'm excited for the challenge. I'm gonna definitely swap them out one of these when I get one and see what happens at the helm.
And Numa
So,
also complements other cards like Hardened Scales.
Yup.
oh yeah, any type of one counter play on there is great. So you can clear all those out. The other card I wanted to talk about is a reprint that has been the people have been asking for a very, very long time. This was the card that when I saw it, I literally my jaw dropped and I just screamed out loud on the job site I was at. A big, loud, resounding yes. Um, Three visits is it's a very simple card. It's 1 plus a green. It's a sorcery. Search your library for a forest card and put that card onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Key points here are does not come in tapped, and it does not specify basic land. At this CMC, there is only one other card in the game that does this, and if you look below the three visits, you'll see that card. It's Nature's Lore, worded exactly the same. For the past however many years it was that three visits was only available in its originating printing, it's been like $100 card. Nature's Lore, it's like a $4 or $5 card. The
Was this
fact
original
that
Arabian Nights?
I believe it was Portal to Three Kingdom.
It was Portal
Yes.
of Three Kingdom.
Yes.
It was one of those sets that it was not a big print run from what everybody says, and it was only in like Italy or somewhere outside of the United States. It was one of the foreign release sets, and because of that, and because of the amount of cards that were available, one of the most basic ramp spells that every green deck should have access to has been at a price point that is just absolutely horrendous. And the fact it's just like Imperial Recruiter, only at least Imperial Recruiter was a mythic or rare when it was originally printed, so it had an actual reason to be an expensive card. Three visits is an uncommon. It's not that special of a card, and now everybody. This is one of those staples if you're doing green in a ramp deck. You want this card. It's absolutely great for you, and it allows you to remove they've been doing a good job of making new ramp spells that put cards onto the battlefield, but none have really come out to the power level of 2 CMC, non-basic, and untapped. I'm just I'm This is one I'm super excited about, and when I was looking earlier at it, the the pricing of it is extremely reasonable. Right now, it's showing on TCG Player at like $3.20. Hopefully, that goes down more just because I'm cheap. But hey, even if it doesn't, I'm gonna get a couple playsets of that one.
Absolutely.
Oh, it would definitely be in my list.
And it looks like it has like the bitter blossom fairies floating around in it.
It does. That's awesome. I didn't even notice that part of it.
Adds a little extra pizzazz. I'm all for this card. This will be a playset guaranteed for me as well.
Oh yeah, at Uncommon, I want a few playsets.
Well, we all know how powerful early game sorcery ramp can be.
Absolutely.
Like the cultivates and those sort of cards going to go fetch you lands. It being 2 CMC is amazing, and the fact that the card does not come in tapped. Oh my goodness, is that powerful?
Yep.
So ultimately, you're paying one
Yep.
green for this.
Exactly. You get a little bit of that mana back, and that just makes it even better. There's a little cherry on top right there.
You could play this. You could do turn 1 green Soul Ring, turn 2 play this, have an extra colorless floating, and then Farseek again. You could just ramp on ramp on ramp with this card.
So to kind of wrap everything here together before we close the show, uh, it all comes to this. Kind of just comes down to the what did you expect and what did you miss. By that, I just want to put the question out there. A lot of us have asked for Commander to be acknowledged on a more of a scale, and that we're actually a legit format. And I got to ask people that are upset with some of the things that are happening, what did you expect? They want to make their profit. And what did you miss? Instead of wasting your time on cards that you've already looked at, that you're excited about, we wanted to touch on the cards that you may have forgotten about when the Jeweled Lotus come out, or when the Thrasios borderless alternate art, all that stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff in here, and we just want to help everybody make sure they don't overlook any of that. So if you're still there, thank you. If you like what you heard, tap that thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, Outlaws out.